So this panel is about Batohiya. Bhojpuri is not my language as well. My language is English, Hindi, Punjabi, but I've been very fortunate to head teams which translate in about 11 international languages, and they have enriched me. I translated Kuli lines, which forged my relationship with the people of indentured heritage, and that is what has led me here today. As much as I understand, Batohiya means traveler and comes from the Bhojpuri word but, which means way. So who are we? Are we all travelers? Are we willing travelers? Are we forced travelers? Who chooses the journey, or the journey chooses us? We have a very interesting panel here today, and I believe the rest of the world, other than the great within quotes British Empire, we were all on a journey of decolonizing our minds in whatever ways we could, as Gugiwa Thiongo would put, sir. And so I will ask sir to throw a light on that. So my first question today would be to my most senior panelist, senior thespian. I came to know sir has a headache also, but I will... Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. MK Raina sir doesn't need an introduction. He has been the face on TV since childhood for most of us. It's still very fascinating to meet him every time. And sir comes from Kashmir. Kashmir in India, a land that for me symbolizes a lot of pain and separation and trauma. So I will ask sir today, we will begin with sir. In what way, sir, do you think forced migration shapes our sense of belonging, professionally, personally, and in the larger world?
I said it depends on the individual. One says migrated, in what kind of environment is put in, what kind of opportunities he has, and what kind of struggles as a migrant he will undergo wherever he is, in whatever space he is. It depends on that. One way is always memorizing the past, digging the past, but digging too much may be a graveyard.
Yeah.
And that will give you more pain. Another way is you're in a different culture. Are you going to be part of that culture? Or you only want to take the cake's ice, the cream at the top, and leave the struggles to the people who are there and not be part of those struggles either. So it depends on the individual how he shapes his personality in this century, in this time and space in the world. World is under crisis, democracies are under crisis, lot of intolerance we see all over the world, but still you have a Mamdani becoming the mayor.
Yeah.
So that is the struggle.
Right.
He keeps his identity intact, he keeps his background intact, but he is waging a good struggle where he is in his time and space, the country which has given him whatever he is.
Thank you, sir. I've been very privileged to know Brother Mkiva through our World Poetry Movement. Ma'am is here, and he's been a musician, a poet, a cultural ambassador, and I think he's the best person to talk about how songs, oral traditions, poetry keeps our identity intact even when there is oppression or separation.
Good afternoon to everyone. It's a privilege and honor for me to be here, and I'm grateful and thankful for this invitation. It's my first time in India physically, but I don't think it's my first time to come here spiritually, because the Indian people have inspired us in many ways than one, historically. And I often say that, and I think this is a saying that everyone knows, that blood is thicker than water, but spirituality is thicker than blood.
Very well said. Very well.
So, having said that, we come from a very strong background of oral tradition, and I think the foundations of our societies are mainly embedded in that history of oral tradition. And for me, coming into this literature festival, we must always mainstream the fact that orature and literature are two sides of the same coin, so that we don't negate the role that is played by oral tradition in society, because oral tradition is very organic, and I think it is oral tradition that enriches literature in many ways that you may think of. So as a student and a practitioner of oral tradition, my compositions are original, and they are not fixated in academic frameworks. And I think when you talk about songs that are delivered with creativity, that is original and independent, outside of colonial frameworks, of colonial syllabus and everything. And I think that is what has made Africa in general to be celebrated in its compositions. Whether it is delivery of renditions and recitals by African creative and geniuses in the continent or elsewhere in the world. And I think their success is derived from the fact that they are organic in their delivery, in their compositions and everything. And I think that is what brought me to the level where I got to become President Nelson Mandela's Poet Laureate, because I was original and I was simply employing one of the ancient traditions to come from Africa, which has been preserved over generations and generations. It is not because I invented the oral traditional poetry, but it is that which has been carried from the time of our ancestors. The only difference is that with time and space is that you must remain relevant with what is happening at that particular point in time. And therefore my work gets customized in what is happening.
I'll interrupt you there and go from one musician to another. We have Rajmohan on stage. He's just joined us, dear friend. Dutch Surinamese singer. If you haven't already researched on our panelists or seen our website, राजमोहन जी भोजपुरी में गाते हैं, पूरे यूरोप में, पूरी दुनिया में. So I would like to ask you, Rajmohan, you speak a lot about Birha, separation, your songs talk about that. How is it when you sing Bhojpuri to your adopted or where you were taken Suriname first and then now Netherlands? And how is it different here? Does it change the emotion?
देखिए, पहले है दुई बोली बोला अपन बोली में अपन भाषा में. ई कारण I will translate. ई कारण कि हम डच भाषा बोलेला, इंग्लिश भाषा बोलेला, हिंदी थोड़ा बहुत बोल लेला और तनी मनी उर्दू भी बोल लेला, थोड़ा German. So when I was a kid, and I felt by playing, and I ran to my mom, I grabbed her skirt. I speak so many languages, but she gave me love in my Bhojpuri language. So coming to your question, is the importance of these songs. Like my brother there said, the oral tradition is also part of literature. And what I do is I try to get under the skin of the protagonist of my song or under the skin of a word. I first examine the word in a way that what emotion lies in that word or a part of a word. So then I build up a song, like the songs, the Girmitiya songs, the Batohiya songs. And I felt, experienced that then I do not have to create an emotion. Sometimes I cry when I sing my own song for the 100 or 300 times. So what happens is that the song, I am only the starter of the song, then the song takes over.
Yeah.
So that is a different way of explaining the emotion in the song in my language.
Very well expressed, Rajmohan. I will come to Ma'am, Mrs. Nilistra Sooklal. Ma'am and Sir, His Excellency Professor Sooklal, have been a mentor to this festival. Last few months, they have been giving us advice and helping us in a lot of ways. And during those conversations, we had conversations with Ma'am regarding her one part of the family also comes from this region. Unfortunately, we could not play Mrs. Sita Sooklal's video. She spoke in Hindi and it moved me. It was very moving, sir. But sir, because of what sir spoke in the morning, there's an entire generation that was not taught Hindi. Or as Keshav told me in one of our earlier conversations, that even if you learned a few Hindi words, साथ में हिंदी बोलने वाला कोई नहीं है तो किससे बात करोगे हिंदी में? So that gap, ma'am, in identity, because your theatre, your film, your music travels through language. Now, if language faces a gap, how do we pass it on to the next generation?
Thank you very much, Pooja ji, for that question. And my loving pranams and namaste to my family in Varanasi and Ghazipur. Girmitiya from South Africa has come back to her home. I remember when I was little, my mom used to say to me, because my mom's family, her great-grandmother and father are from Ghazipur. My dad's family is from Ayodhya. And she often said to me that it was like with your mom when you're a little child, you hold on to her Aanchal. You're always swinging on your mom's skirt. And it felt when the indentured laborers came to South Africa that they were pulled away from their mother's Aanchal. And the fact, I give thanks to God that I'm sitting here today because my forefathers and my mom will be very happy that I have reconnected with my family in Varanasi and Ghazipur. It really is a blessing. Just to tell you also that the whole ecosystem around this question is important, because in South Africa, Indians came from 1860 to 1911. And during this time in South Africa now, we have 1 million, about 700, about 1.5 million, 1.7 million Indians. And when they came, the narrative was that the Indians were poor and illiterate and came from Ghazipur, which is totally a wrong narrative. Because my grandparents and my parents were very, very literate, and the Indian community. As Anil was saying, that they could read the Ramayana all the time. My dad used to read the Ramayana. Our morning started, in terms of language, with Sanskrit and Hindi and Bhojpuri, because we would recite the Gayatri mantra. I would get up to the smell of incense, to the mantras being chanted. So I woke my parents and my brother. We used to do the Hanuman Chalisa, we did all the kathas, all the prayers, all the festivals, Diwali, Navaratri, Krishna Astami, Ram Navami, Lord Ganesha Puja. And language, although there were very many negative forces mitigating against its continuation, was still very much intrinsically part of our lives. In fact, my grandparents, if we live into their house, we had to speak in Hindi, or the Hindi that we knew.
Right.
They would not encourage us to speak in English. And in South Africa, we had two different streams of thought that was very problematic. One was colonization, and the other one in South Africa that was very negative was apartheid. Because apartheid had a superstructure of an astute plan to actually remove our language, our religion, our culture, and our connection with where we came from. And all our communities were separated. You had like the Indian community in one place, our African brothers and sisters in another, the white community in another, and coloureds separately. So we were very, very separated. So with the National Party, they actually made sure that they put into the law the fact that we couldn't have access to our own languages, our own religion, our own books. And just to remind that India was the first country that applied sanctions to South Africa.
Yeah.
So more than any of the other communities that have gone to Fiji or Guyana or Mauritius or Suriname or Trinidad, South Africa was very, very isolated and separated from its mother, which was India.
Yeah.
But what really happened was that our parents made sure we tried to learn Hindi.
Yeah.
So I understand about 85%.
Thank you. That's great.
but I speak much less.
Right.
But I'm praying to God that before I leave India, I will be fluent in my mother.
Wonderful. That's great. Cheers to that. And now I'll show you some magic. So here is my friend Kamila Junik, traveled all the way from Poland. About a decade ago when we first met, I was also amazed the academic Hindi that she speaks. She's a professor of Hindi in the Jagiellonian University in Poland. I hope I pronounced that correct. So today I'm going to ask her question in English, but if you want to give a little bit dose of Hindi to Varanasi, please do. So, Kamila, you are the language expert here. You have been a translator. Your first language is Polish, but then you speak English, Urdu, Hindi, and you translate. So, how is language a vessel, to carry our identities forward, backward, whatever way? Is it a vessel at all?
Yes, of course it is a vessel, but सबसे पहले मैं बताऊं कि 10 साल तो नहीं हुआ, हमारी मुलाकात तो शायद 7 साल पहले हुई और हिंदी के जरिए भी हुई है, क्योंकि हमारे एक मुलाकात एक समारोह था, ट्रांसलेशन वाला दिल्ली में, तो इस तरह हम मिले थे। मैं ट्रांसलेटर सिर्फ नहीं हूँ, मैं 22 साल से हिंदी और उर्दू पढ़ाती हूँ और ये मेरा थोड़ा सा अनुभव के बारे में बता सकती हूँ। Of course, language is a vessel of identity. The very simple example that I could share, because I do translate, I do work with Hindi and Urdu, is basically these two languages. I always say I speak Hindustani, because being here and first learning Hindi and Sanskrit, I didn't feel that much of difference. But when you speak to an Urdu speaker or you speak to a Hindi speaker, you have to choose your words wisely, because there would be a difference between choosing some vocabulary. So you're entering a different realm of the language, but also whatever the language brings along with it, so the whole culture, the whole rich culture. So there is a difference whether you say kitab or pustak, because then you're just entering two different categories and two different, also use different identities. There's a lot of examples I could give how different it is and how much it defines the identity of people. I work with also with migrants in Poland. Very simple things from this work, like so many things that I have to, even though I'm a translator and I'm appointed as a translator, I should not be speaking too much, but then I have to explain some things. Because, for instance, mother's name, like the family name, sometimes doesn't exist.
Yeah.
In the rural families, there is no mother's name from the family name.
Yeah.
So you have to explain that writing Bibi is not a name that she carried from her ancestors.
True.
This is just like a nickname kind of a thing. A lot of things that language actually carries with. But also, not only a translator, but also as a teacher, I always try to convince the students or anyone who wants to learn mostly Hindi in Poland, that you can use any Google Translate, you can use any modern tools that we have now, but you will never understand this soul of the language. For this, you need something more, and also there's one word which I really love in Hindi, sahridaya. You need to have this empathy for the language, but also for the people, because otherwise you will never be able to really understand your interlocutors.
Yeah. Thank you, Kamila. And all of them are going to stay with us. आज शाम में हम क्लोज करेंगे राजमोहन जी के भोजपुरी गाने के साथ, तो आप लोग अपनी एनर्जी थोड़ी आप रखिए. लेकिन अभी मैं सर के पास फिर से जाऊंगी, एंड वी विल नॉट आस्क अ क्वेश्चन दिस टाइम. I am giving you a term and you have to define it in your way. You have to give it a definition, sir. So what is your definition of a homeland?
You know my story.
Yeah.
I'm a refugee in my own country. I belong to Kashmir where 35 years ago I had to run away from there. But you see, I tell you, it's a painful when you leave it. It's very painful. When you see your elderly father broken completely, your mother, your sister packing up things and have to leave. But individually, if you ask me, I don't see that what is the national narrative in India that it is the majority people who throw us out. It's a lie. There was a motivated section of the society which made target killing of the leaders of a certain community, which created a panic in the community, and there was no way you could that time resist because you had nobody to help you, not even the state helped you. The state collapsed completely. The only way for us was to pack up and leave.
So what is homeland now? What
This is what I am coming to.
Yeah.
Easy way for me is to make an enemy out of this whole thing and live with that hatred. Live with that I will take that revenge. I will kill them all. That will make me an ill human being. And my entire vision will be completely closed vision. And all my life I'll be, I've seen those kind of characters who pounce on you. They have a genuine reason, but I look at it. The problem is not where I was thrown out. The problem has come from somewhere else.
Right.
It has come from thousands of miles away. That much capacity I have to understand where from it has come. Therefore, what I would like to mend it. While I am in Delhi, I have gone through bullets, through crossfires, benign attack in Kashmir. Because I went back, I want to mend it. I want to reclaim my culture back. Because 10 years there was no performance happening in Kashmir.
Yeah.
No performance, no my wedding songs. None. Hindus had gone, Muslims could not sing. Nobody could do anything. It was a complete diktat of the terrorists. Yeah. You can do this and you can't do that. Kids were, 13-year-old kid was wearing a jeans, she got a bullet in her leg while you are wearing things which are not reported. You have no idea what happened.
Yeah.
So what do you do as a citizen of India? Why do as a citizen, as a human being?
I will come to this difficult conversation when
No,
we go
I
one to one.
didn't answer you, don't cut it. It needs to be mended. Each one of us has to mend it because it's my land. So I identify with many communities in India, or the community like his community, that we have to mend things. We cannot live it with hatred or with a revenge. That homeland for me is today in India, after partition of India, we need to understand ourselves. We have not solved the partition. Wound is still festering. So we need the attitude of mending and understanding. Only then the nation will be at peace.
Thank you.
That is homeland for me.
Thank you, sir. All of you have to respond in one sentence each, and I'll give you a word to define. Rajmohan, your word is Birha.
Birha is obviously separation from my ancestors from India due to different reasons. We'll get to that some other time.
Tell us your favorite food. Kamila spent some years in Delhi.
I think the best definition of the culture would be chai, because
Chai, yeah.
chai is not only a liquid, it's like the puri mulaqat hoti hai, na?
Right, true.
Chai, it's an
Yeah.
emotion, but it's also the smell and also the
Of course.
conversation, the beginning of the story.
Yeah. Chai should be it. Yeah, we were discussing chai and Dashatromi just yesterday, right? Ma'am, so my word for you would be family.
Thank you so much, Pooja. That phrase is one of my most favorite words because it is the greatest strength in the world. Family. It is the first building block of a community, and the sense of community resonates to even a global level. So here in India you have Vasudeva Kutumbakam,
Right.
which is family oriented, and in Africa we have Ubuntu.
Ubuntu, yeah.
And because you are, so we will have Ubuntu in its practical form, Vasudeva Kutumbakam, and one earth, one world, and one family.
Thank you, ma'am. Well said. So, Dr. Zolani, I'm giving you an easy word. Music.
Music is the language of the world.
One word, one sentence, 55. What music means?
Now, what music means to me is that this is the universal language which is understood by everyone. You do not need to understand literally the words of what is sung, but through the rhythm and the beat, you are able to understand the direction that music is all about.
So we just established all of us are Batohiyas, all of us are in that journey at some different tangent. And let's hope in the next 2 days our journeys intersect and we learn a lot from each other. Thank you so much all my wonderful, wonderful panelists.